go inside the film room. Of course, Bobby Belt, Brian Broaddus, putting up numbers in the millions with the Love of the Star podcast. How's Broaddus, by the way, feeling? That's the music?
Yep, that's our guitar.
Okay.
Little guitar intro.
How's Broaddus feeling 2 weeks in about everything overall?
He feels good, but he
look
also
at that
is
smirk.
No, he feels good. He said it in the latest episode we did last night, which is out this morning. If you want to go check it out,
After 10 a.m.
After 10 a.m. of course. He's got that personnel guy in him a little bit, to where everything is just like, even the Cardinals. He's like, they're not going to lose to the Cardinals, but out of any given Sunday,
Yeah.
and so every game so far this year, he's had a little. Man, I don't know. Like, they could do so.
Nothing ever outside of a 6.5-point spread from scouts and coaches.
Yeah. He's picked the Cowboys every time, but it has been, and he's acknowledged it. He's like, I recognize I'm being a personnel guy and probably worried about what should be a blowout, but this is what it is.
12-point spread Sunday coverage. We got Broaddus. We got Chiafalo. You got Eric. Chiafalo, that is Eric. You got Wolchuk, Shan, Babe, Christy. The cast of millions. Patrick Walker will join us at 9:20. Tell us what we need to know, Roberto, off the film study.
So before we get into the specifics of how they look on offense and defense, this is a very undisciplined football team. They were last year, they are this year. So the Cardinals are third in penalties this year. They are first in penalty yards. And that comes after last year, in which they were first in penalties and fourth in penalty yards. So,
side note, how good do we feel about the Cowboys' penalty plague being fixed or dramatically improved? I think they have the 10th least amount of penalties in the league this year.
I'll be brutally honest. In games that are decided by, 60 points, I haven't noticed.
Okay.
Like that, they could be the most penalized team in the league, and I wouldn't have noticed after the first 2 weeks, because when you're up by that many, you don't nitpick, you don't worry about the minutia, even though penalties, they're not minutia. It's just something that Bill Parcells says you can't coach.
yeah, and I think I felt like they had addressed that for the most part in the second half of last year. Things felt like they cleaned up from early in the year, and so I feel like they're pretty much on track. Arizona, on the other hand, is continued to carry over a lot of their issues, and what's interesting is they're just undisciplined in general, because they've been flagged for 11 different types of infractions, which is the most in the NFL. So it's not just like, oh man, they have 8 pass interference calls, or they get called for holding. Now they have been flagged for false start 5 times, which is the second most in the NFL. And with the way that Micah and the pass rush can kind of threaten guys and get them a little jittery and have them jump out of their stance early, Dallas may be able to take advantage of some of that and put them in some bad situations. So on the offensive sthat of the ball, Josh Dobbs is not bad. Former Tennessee Volunteer great. A guy who we saw last year play for the Titans, had to step in. That was like his first game he'd played in 5 years or something.
Looked pretty awful.
He got there on Thursday?
Yeah. I mean, it was that's the thing. For the quick turnaround and everything else that he was doing, I thought Dobbs was passable last year with the Titans. It wasn't awful. It was bad, but I think given the context, it wasn't the worst. This year, he looks really comfortable playing for Arizona. And this is, again, a situation he kind of got into late in the game because he was traded for at the end of training camp. But he's not going to beat the Cowboys downfield. Everything will be 20 yards and inside. Out of his 61 throws or whatever he's done, I think 3 or 4 of them have been attempted more than 20 yards down the field.
And, I tell you this, if he changes that, I think it might really be advantageous to him because he can run. And if all your throws are short, that means all your defenders are short too. So if he were to get guys downfield, he could open up so much space in the middle.
Yeah, I think it's hard for him to deliver the ball like that. Now, because of his ability to threaten and run and move, it causes defenders have to kind of move and shift across the field, and he gets some favorable looks. And he's tough. He'll stand in there. He'll take hits. He'll deliver the throw, but he works the entire field. So he has 21 pass attempts to the left third of the field, 20 to the middle third, and 20 to the right third. So he is just evenly kind of dispersing the ball. There's not one direction where he really favors over the other, but he doesn't throw it to all sides of the field equally in terms of his talent. So he's 15 percentage points better throwing to the middle and the right than he is to the left. So if he's throwing to the left, and that's where he's taken his deep shots and he's missed, if he's throwing to the left, he's a little more inefficient there. But he's not going to make mistake throws. He wants to take care of the ball. Good athlete, get outside the pocket, keep his eyes downfield, make a throw. He's a read option threat. He's really good at concealing who got the ball, breaking, contain. So he's really good, I think, and somebody who the Jets would be in a better spot right now with Josh Dobbs than they are Zach Wilson.
Wow. Okay.
Dobbs made some plays against the Giants and the Commanders both.
J-Ron Kurtz was talking about, and we need to ask McCarthy about it tomorrow, defending running quarterbacks. We have to make them pay. Understand that you're a quarterback in this league. We're coming to hit. We're hunting. Those backs feel it week in and week out. But if you want to be a part of that, you're going to feel it as well. That's just how we approach things around here. You want to run the ball as a quarterback, we're going to treat you like a running back. We're going to put these shoulder pads, this helmet on you. We're going to make you second guess. If you want to get outside that pocket and scramble, you better start sliding. That's a great quote. I love the threat, but it doesn't make me feel like they've solved or how solvable it is when these guys run and scramble around. But let's ask McCarthy that tomorrow. Is it really that solvable?
Yeah, so much of it I feel like is guys getting up the field and then just throwing lanes are there, or running lanes are there because guys are locked up in coverage. I don't feel like it's as much the design stuff. We all remember Joseph Randle, meat on the bone,
shallow end, shallow ocean.
Left a little meat on the bone. Yeah, Dillard's, everything else that he did. So we remember the meat on the bone quote from a couple years back. James Conner, the running back here for the Cardinals, he doesn't leave meat on the bone at all.
That's my guy.
And he's big, he's tough, he's punishing. Like, it hurts, it looks like, to tackle him. And he has good vision. His footwork's really good. So he can surprise you how nimble he can be. He'll see stuff where it's like you wouldn't expect him to be able to slither through tight areas like he does. You wouldn't expect that he's able to get to where he's going. And when he can get downhill, it can become a problem. The Cardinals' offensive line, they don't have world beaters. They're better in pass protection than the Jets are. So especially at the tackles, that's a little bit of a benefit for Arizona compared to the Jets. But the interior is where you can see some movement, I think, from the Cowboys. The interior has a lot of problems, I think, holding up in pass protection. And that's where you'd want to come at Josh Dobbs, make him go back. You don't want him to have to break outside. Try to make him go back and instead of breaking to the outside and make plays with his legs. And then Josh Dobbs' comfort target, as it is for most inexperienced quarterbacks, is the tight end. So Zach Ertz leads the team in targets with 18. So he's got 9 targets a game in these first 2. But he's averaging just 6.4 yards per reception on his 12 catches. So everything underneath, it's a lot of just incrementalism, trying to take a profit and just steadily march downfield.
Word. So they've been up. So their quarters 1 through 3, they're 34-24 is the score, 34-24.
Mm-hmm.
And then quarter 4 is 27-zip in the other direction. Are they actively doing something in the fourth quarter, trying to lose these games?
No,
no, because they're tanking, right? They're tanking for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, they're not tanking yet.
I think more what you maybe see a little bit is they're trying to just get out of there. Right? Like, so the offense is trying to get out of there with a win, and I think they tighten up and they play even more conservative than they did earlier. Like, some of the throws that you do see downfield from Josh Dobbs have generally been in the first half. And then they get up, they get a lead, and then it feels like they're trying to just, let's get out of here. Let's ice this. Let's try. And then I think you start seeing teams take advantage of the defense. And that's what we'll talk about now, is the Cardinals defense. So if the Cowboys are ever going to throw the deep ball this year, they're going to do it this week. Because this secondary has bad communication. Buda Baker's out. That's probably a big part of the communication issues. There's no real playmakers back there.
Who's going to get him in a trade? Who's going to get him in a deal?
It's going to happen at some point. But there's no real playmakers back there with Buda Baker out. He's somebody who can cause a lot of disruption. So they have Cottrell Clark. He's a rookie 6th rounder starting at one corner. A lot of Cheeto Awuzie with him, in that what you see on tape is he's in position and he doesn't make the play. So it's not like he's getting burned and toasted, but he's right there and guys are making catches. And it's just got to be a frustrating experience to watch him. Marco Wilson is their other outside corner, the old Florida Gator. And he has maybe the worst eyes of any cornerback I've seen in the NFL. That guy is completely undisciplined. It's in run support and against the pass. He just can't stay disciplined. He likes to gamble. He's like a very poor man's Trayvon Diggs from a couple years ago, where it's gamble and try to make a play. And occasionally, as Brian said, he might accidentally make a play because of that. But his instincts are bad. His eyes
name
are
again
bad.
is?
Marco Wilson.
Marco Wilson.
And that's somebody that you can really throw the ball downfield on him if you want. The linebackers are not bad. We're familiar with one of them, Kaiser White. He was acquired from Philadelphia. He played well for them last year. He's good, all-around linebacker. He can cover. He can defend the run. He can pass rush a little bit. He's really good sideline to sideline, covers a lot of ground. Chris Barnes is another linebacker they have. I thought he looked solid, especially in pass coverage. So the Cardinals are actually going to miss our old friend and RJ Choppy's high-low guess, Carlos Watkins. So Carlos Watkins tore his bicep in the last game. He had played really well for them, actually. He gave them some stout interior play, and he's going to be out with this game. They've got a couple of decent pass rushers there. Dennis Gardeck and Victor Dumakaji. Both those guys are pretty good. They can generate some pass rush, especially Gardeck. Gardeck's somebody who I'm really impressed by him. He's been a special teamer most of his career, but he is just hair on fire, motor runs hot, running all over the field, will make plays in the run, the pass. That's probably the biggest concern in the front seven for the Cowboys is going to be Dennis Gardeck. They could cause some disruption, but ultimately, this is a defense that doesn't blitz a lot, and they don't have the personnel that the Jets do, where the Jets don't have to blitz a lot. This is something I think the Cowboys can block up with their front four if they want. So how can the Cardinals have success? If the Cardinals win this game Monday, we're probably talking about James Conner punishes the run defense. Josh Dobbs is able to work effectively in the 10 to 20-yard zone. He's able to complete some passes there with the softer defense, given what he can do with his legs, and James Conner running the ball. On defense, it's the Cardinals are able to disrupt the timing of the routes with press coverage. They like to get up in guys' faces a lot. And then the linebackers are able to disguise coverage, drop, and confuse Dak post-snap. That's been a problem for Dak at times in the past, has been the linebackers that just drop and he misses them. And then the defensive line is able to get pressure from the edge rushers. If they're able to do all of that, that's probably going to be the way they look to attack. If they're able to do all that, then that would be the most difficult scenario for Dallas. But this is a team that Dallas should, honestly, 12.5 is probably not a fair spread. Dallas should run them.
Hell of a report, Bobby. Well done. Well done. Bobby Belt. That is why 1.9 million downloads with the love of the star. It's really because of Broaddus, but Bobby's on there as well.
Really because of Peyton.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
I made an appearance on the podcast last night, by the way.
You made an appearance?
Very briefly. Bobby gave me a birthday shout out, so I jumped in the StreamYard Zoom and said hello and then left.
Yeah. We actually let him get some FaceTime. And then we swore that was the last time we'd be nice to him for 365 days.
We also have some other notes on the Cowboys from @BobbyBeltTX. It's been impossible to throw deep on the Cowboys through the first 2 games of the season. Zeros across the board. Takeaways since week 13 of last year. The Cowboys have 24 takeaways. The rest of the NFC East combined, 23. Wow. That's pretty daggone impressive. Cowboys have not allowed their opponents to take a second-half snap inside the team's 40-yard line. That is crazy impressive. And then the one that I stole from my own Instagram that got a lot of attention, Cowboys team rankings in the NFL. Points, 1. Points allowed, 1. Turnovers, 1. Takeaways, 1. Passing yards allowed, 1. Net yards per attempt allowed, numero uno.